Your little water tanks now.
Right. So I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's hard to fight change. So.
See, it works. Real. I was like, oh, this is new. This is different.
You're gonna have to.
All right. So this. Here you go. This is your spinning Jenny right here.
Is that Jenny?
Is that shit?
I don't know who that is, but that's the spinning Jenny.
I can't really see how it works though.
Sorry.
I hate them.
Just use your imagination.
Okay, you're gonna have to start over with this iron thing.
Okay.
Alright, you make a furnace. Put the ore in, put the coal.
Alright.
All I have is.
Alright, here we go. Alright, here we go. This is steam engine breakthrough again. Alright, so we said processed wood, which was charcoal, was a fuel mixed with iron ore in a blast furnace to produce pig iron, or this like raw type of iron. There's then melted into ingots or ingots that can be made into different things later on, like steel, cast iron, wrought iron, so on. Which is what we said all that yesterday. But kind of like with textiles, by the mid-1700s, the iron production in Britain was also stagnating, and it was only able to make so much. As we also said, Russia was kind of leading them at this point because Russia had a lot more access to trees and forests to use for making charcoal or burning to make iron. So Britain in the mid-1700s was importing a lot of iron out of Russia. So because of the scarcity of wood, they turned to coal eventually. So by the mid-1700s, they began to turn to coal because of scarcity of wood. I think that's about where we stopped yesterday, because I went off my tangent about Minecraft caves. Right. By 1640, most homes in London were heated with coal. And so coal, or sorry, 1740. Sorry. I had it written that way. So homes begin to be heated by coal, and they become much more of a staple in people's lives in general. But the breakthrough is going to be, okay, when they figure out they can take coal and use its energy to produce mechanical energy to power machinery. Because up to this point, machines have been powered by essentially people or animals, and people and animals get tired. So you have a lot of hand-powered machine or animal-powered machinery, but they get tired, or they don't perform as well as they can.
Coal can power like the machine.
They can. They'll eventually. The breakthrough is when they take coal to make mechanical energy, which never gets tired, to power machinery. That's the change. Which leads to steam engines. So steam engines came out of necessity as well too. Basically, when they were mining for things like coal, they would run into things like water, or if it rained, there'd be water to get into the mines. Or as they were getting deeper and deeper, they'd come across water wells, whatever the case is. So they need a way to pump it out. They need to get a way to get the water out of those areas. And so they developed this device, a steam engine essentially, to be able to do that. So to produce more coal, mines had to dig deeper and deeper, which led to them being filled by water. They needed pumps to get the water out, and animal-powered pumps were troublesome. So animal-powered pumps were not cutting it. So these two guys, Thomas Savery and Thomas Newcomen, invent the first primitive steam engine in the early 1700s. So in the early 1700s, they're going to invent the first primitive steam engine. It burned coal to produce steam, which was then used to operate a pump. So basically the steam, with its pressure and its heat, makes the machine move. That's like later on you're going to have things like boilers used for, buildings or ships or whatever. That, because it produces energy, it can help move engines or whatever the case is.
How did like an animal work?
Like the bike
I mean,
thing. That's what I'm thinking. It's like a bike.
It was probably some kind of turn style thing where they probably walked around in circles and stuff, and that would make whatever motion you'd make to make it. Exactly.
Or like the little hamster running around on the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
Or they just like released a bunch of animals or pigs down there to drink it up. It just didn't work out right. So they burned coal to produce steam, which was then used to operate a pump. Both models, so both of them had their own models. Both models were extremely inefficient, though, so they weren't reliable. So while both Thomases made it a type of pump, they weren't that efficient.
Sounds like something Thomas would do.
And eventually it'll be improved upon to make a better working version of. So the guy who's going to make the better version is going to be James Watt. So if you ever talk about steam engines, this is usually the guy people think of when it comes to steam engines. So he does not invent the steam engine. He makes a better version of it, a more efficient version of it.
Does he invent the watt?
Invent the what?
The watt, is that named after? Like the unit of power?
Yes, I believe so, yes. So, this guy was a gifted young Scotsman who decides to do a critical study of the steam engine and how to improve it. So he was a young Scotsman who decides to look into how to improve the steam engine that already existed. He gets employed by the University of Glasgow, to make scientific instruments. So he gets employed by the University of Glasgow to make scientific instruments. And Scotland had a very practical sense with their Enlightenment and Science Revolution. So like whenever Scotland went through the Science Revolution and the Enlightenment, basically they're like, don't just develop knowledge for knowledge's sake. Like, develop knowledge that is useful in the world. So the Scottish were very practical about their progress. They wanted whatever ideas or inventions they developed to have practical uses, not just to have. So in 1763, he was asked to repair a Newcomen engine. So in 1763, he was asked to repair a Newcomen engine and realized it would work better with a separate condenser to reduce wasted energy. So he realized it would work better with a separate condenser to reduce wasted energy. So he comes out with a better version by 69. You can kind of see it working here, and you can kind of see a version of it there too.
So wait, did somebody ask him to just repair, like, hey, my particular one is broken, or is it
Yes.
to repair on the design?
No. They were like, mine's broken, go fix it. And while he was fixing it, he was like, this could be better by doing this.
It worked better with a separate what?
Condenser that helped to reduce wasted energy. And he doesn't stop there. While he comes out with his first version in 1769, he continuously works on it. So like throughout the rest of his life, he basically tries to make better and better versions of the engine. Yeah. So practical efforts. So let's look at practical efforts. So Watt needed skilled workers, precision parts, and capital. So Watt needed skilled workers, precision parts, and capital to produce the engine and make it better and better. And the advanced nature of the British economy was essential. So the advanced nature of the British economy proved essential to this development. So he got a backer, a financier, named Matthew Bolton. If you haven't picked up this already, this is a very name-drop heavy unit. There's a lot of names to go around this unit.
So he went to Britain for...
No, he's in Britain. Scotland's part of Britain.
Okay, my bad. What did you say about...
I said in 1775 he got partnered with Matthew Bolton, who becomes like a financial backer. So Bolton gave him a lot of money he needed to produce the machine, but he also was a good salesman. So he also knew how to sell and market Watt's machine, which is what he got as Bolton. So Bolton and Watt worked together to produce and finance the machine, but also to sell it in a good way. Watt then started recruiting and training mechanics to learn how to install them, repair them. That way, they kind of controlled how the machine was operated and controlled, making sure that it was like when they sold it and gave it to people, it was what they were promised, right? So people would buy more of them. and you have guys now skilled and trained about how to make them work better, because all that does is it's customer service, right? It just makes people come back and want to buy your product more and more. So over 20 years, Watt continued to make more and more improvements to the design to make it even more efficient. So by 1780, Boulton and Watt had made the steam engine a practical and efficient success. So while the earlier models weren't that efficient, Boulton and Watt made a better, efficient version that was being bought up now by the 1780s. Just this little bit. Okay. All right, the impact. The coal-burning steam engine of Watt was the Industrial Revolution's most fundamental advance in technology. So the coal-burning steam engine of Watt was the Industrial Revolution's most fundamental advance in technology. Why do you think that is? Why is this like one of the most impactful inventions of the Industrial Revolution?
Well, now you no longer need water, so now you have factories everywhere because now you have a source of
Where can you build a factory? Anywhere, right? And what can you power with the steam engine?
anything.
Well, yes, using coal, but saying what can you power with it? Pretty much anything, right? And that's the impact, right? You can now use it for virtually everything and anything to make it run. Ships, you use it for, you can make locomotives now, right? You can use it for powering machinery in factories. It's just a huge advancement forward. So this is why it's the most fundamental device developed. Kind of like if you argue today, like the modern world technology, like the computer or like maybe the internet. Those are like the most important inventions in the last several decades. So for the first time in history, humanity had almost unlimited power, and that's the big change. That you don't have something that's going to tire out. You don't have an animal or a person that'll eventually tire out from working. Steam and mechanical parts don't get tired. So for the first time in history, humanity has almost unlimited power. Inventors and engineers could devise and implement all kinds of power equipment to aid people's work. So now inventors and engineers can devise and implement all kinds of power equipment to aid people's work. So like I said, it can be used for virtually anything now. So naturally, one of the first places that it will begin to replace other machine power is going to be where? By the 1780s and 90s. Not necessarily farms, but what developing factory at this point? The textiles, right? The textile mills and factories, right? So the textile mills and factories will be one of the first users of this machine as a way to produce energy. Steam was also used in flour mills, malt mills, flint mills, and sugar mills. So steam engines were also used in flour mills, malt mills, flint mills, and sugar mills. It's kind of interesting, like this is back like basically industry was just grinding things up. Making flour, sugar.
What is malt?
Malt, it's like a sugary substance like you use in a lot of food or drinks.
Is there like a beer?
I'm not sure. Malts are usually like in the same category as like shakes and stuff. I don't know there's a malt beer though.
I've heard of
It's like
it.
a
Yeah, I don't know why that's what I'm thinking.
It could be. I'm not as versed in that. All right, we'll stop this first video.